Good day. I wanted to walk through this. This is the first target 4 assignment that I posted, and the task is fairly simple. We have a 10-volt battery pack. We are pushing current through two different bulbs, one bulb A, one bulb B. Bulb A has a 10 ohm resistance, bulb B is a 5 ohm resistance. And then we want to know also what the current is through point C, just some point on the wire. So I'm going to go through this from start to finish. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fill it out using some of our old notations, so pressure differences and arrow tails, just to help me think about it. And then once I've done that, I will go ahead and do the actual math for it. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put in pressure differences. So we know that our battery pack here has a high pressure, and the high pressure we mark as red, and this high pressure will spread until it hits some resistance. So it'll spread to bulb B, it'll spread to bulb A. And then we would expect there to be a pressure drop. So everything connected here to the other side, we'd expect to be low resistance, sorry, not low resistance, low pressure. So this will all just be low pressure right up to bulb B and low pressure right up to bulb A. So we see that both bulb A and bulb B have the same pressure drop. And if they have the same pressure drop, that's going to help us. We need that. It's both going to be a 10-volt pressure drop. So this is a 10-volt pressure drop right here, and this is a 10-volt pressure drop right here. They both see red to blue. That's 10 volts in this problem. So let's think about this. This one is a relatively low resistance, which means it's easy to get current through. So I'm going to go ahead and call that one 4 arrow tails. It's easy to get current through bulb B because it's low resistance, 5 ohms. Current bulb A is twice the resistance. It's twice has twice the ohms, right? So I don't expect to get as much current flow. So I expect to only get 2. Now, point C is on the trunk here. It's after both parallel paths have been recombined. So if we have 4 arrow tails going through this point and 2 arrow tails going through this point, I'd expect this to be 6 arrow tails. You like the sound effects? So this is helping me think about the problem. I can calculate how much current is going through here. I can calculate how much current is going through here, and then I can put them together to figure out how much current is going through there. So the equation that we have to use for this is we know that the amount of voltage that we have will be equal to the amount of current that we're using times the resistance of our bulb. I think that's probably been rearranged a few times. Sorry, I think the way we originally found it was resistance times current. And our goal here is to find the current. So just to start us off, I'm actually just going to go ahead and solve this for the current. So I'm going to divide both sides by the resistance. What I end up getting is that current is equal to voltage divided by resistance. So let's think about that for bulb A. Bulb A has a 10-volt voltage drop. So the voltage here is 10 volts, and the resistance is 10 ohms. So I would expect then that my amount of current is 1 amp. So remember, an amp is just an amp is the amount of current flow. 10 over 10, we would expect this to be 1 amp. Remember, an ohm is just the number of volts you'd expect for 1 amp. So if it's 10 ohms, that means we'd expect to need 10 volts for 1 amp. Well, look, we have 10 volts. This will give us 1 amp. So these 2 arrow tails is 1 amp. So for point A, 1 amp. Good. Point B, look, we have half the resistance. I'm going to guess we get twice the flow. So we'll do the math again. Current is equal to 10 volts divided by our new smaller resistance, 5 ohms. 10 divided by 5 is 2 amps. So I'm pretty sure point B will be 2 amps. And then finally, point C is the current flow through point A and the current flow through point B. And we're going to put them all together. So if 1 amp went through A and 2 amp went through B, then I think C will be 3 amps of current flow. Please let me know if you have any questions, but this is the general process through which to go through one of these problems. You start by doing your diagramming just like you would have done in the past. It'll help you think about it. It'll actually make it a lot easier. Then what you start to do is you start to try to answer your question. Answer my questions using the relationship that we've discussed for target 4. Sometimes I'll ask you about the resistance. Sometimes I'll ask you about the current. Sometimes I'll ask you about the voltage. But this relationship holds all 3 together. And then finally, I will expect you to answer the questions based upon the math, but also based upon our understanding of circuits. Please let me know if you have any questions. I hope you have a nice day.